Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're well. We're going to be looking at something of a rare beast in the pedal world. Something that I've been looking for a little while now and has been almost impossible to find. And then I stumbled upon it in one of my favourite secondhand haunts. It is the Digitech Supernatural Ambient Reverb. Now, if you've heard of this pedal, you'll know what it's capable of. If you haven't, then obviously there'll be some clips in this video of what it can do. Let me just tell you how I stumbled upon it. As I say, I've been looking for it for a little while now, and I was in a city that is nearby where I live, and there is a little sort of second-hand junk / guitar shop in sort of the slightly rougher end of the city. And I was there not expecting much, and I went into the shop and I saw a couple of items, took a look and thought, nah, there's nothing much here. And then I went to leave and I looked back in the window and I saw this and I was like, oh my God. And then what shocked me was that I saw this and I was like, okay. And there's a cash point around the corner. So I went around the corner, got cash out, went back in the shop and went, I'll take that please, does it work? Yes, fine, we'll take it. The reason why I was so excited is because these are rare as hen's teeth. They are almost impossible to find for anything less than what was the original RRP. So when I stumbled on it, I'd had kind of a little bit of a kind of like girly squeal to myself and just got in and out the store as fast as I could, and then walked up the street and then kind of opened the bag, looked in the bag, was like, yep, definitely mine, this exists. So yeah, that's kind of how I came to own the pedal. So a bit of background, the first iterations of these were the Hardwire Supernaturals, which were released in 2012, built in the United States. They had a 2-year run. They were a collaboration between Pro Guitar Shop and a small company, Hardwire, that started making pedals. Hardwire were then acquired by Digitech, and then the Supernatural started being made under the brand name Digitech for the remainder of its run, and I believe it ran through from 2014 to 2016, and then production ended and then these disappeared off the shelves. So my particular one was made, it doesn't say. That was pointless. So these were made for approximately 4 years, and there's different scarcities depending on which run you have. So when these came out, there wasn't really much on the market that kind of did what they did. There were no real ambient spacey reverbs or digital ones in a stomp box footprint that you could put on your board and take around easily with you. The only thing you could do really at that point was take your very expensive Space Echo around with you or you'd have to run a lot, you'd have to start stacking reverbs in order to get the sounds that you wanted, and that wasn't practical. There are also some modes that you just simply couldn't get out of other pedals. This pedal was the first time that shimmer reverb was available in something that wasn't essentially a studio plugin. But there's other modes on the pedal as well. I mean, it's got like, you know, it's got plate reverb, plate mods. There's also supernova, shine verb, which is like flanger reverb, and spring, so your standard spring reverbs. These had, as I say, these had a short run, but they started opening up a lot for people who did ambient music, and particularly shoegaze. More for the fact that you could they had a sort of lo-fi grittiness to them, which really made them more atmospheric. So if you were using, say for example, TC Electronics, one of their reverbs, they're good, they're fantastic reverbs, but they weren't quite as, they have a different sound to them. There's a bit more in the high end. These are a bit grittier. These are a bit more tuned for atmospherics more than anything else. So Digitech kind of knew what they were doing with this one. The only time I've actually played this before I actually bought one was Bias Effects. They have a really good Supernatural reverb stomp in there. The one thing that really annoyed me about it though in the model was that no matter what you did, if you went over about 55% in the mix, everything would feedback, and you just get this horrific kind of, particularly on the shimmer would just feedback ridiculously. There's no way of getting around it. So one thing I have noticed when playing with this is that it doesn't matter how much mix you dial in or how lively it gets, it doesn't start to feedback overly like it does in the model. So that's the difference between how they modelled it with Positive Grid or how it is in real life. Interestingly, when the pedal came out in 2012, it was fairly unchallenged. But it was just as reverbs and modulations were starting to move more into kind of the digital realm, companies were sort of starting to get more on board with making more in the way of large reverbs, particularly Strymon. When they came along in sort of 2014, it kind of yielded the death knell for a pedal like this. Companies like TC Electronic and Strymon were starting to gather pace in terms of getting more in the way of decent modelling, digital modelling, thanks to companies like Line 6, for example, and Digitech themselves. The modelling they were doing was starting to step up and improve in quality every time they went through a cycle of new pedals and new products. The algorithms were working better, and then new companies started to step in. TC Electronic and Strymon were kind of the vanguard, or the later vanguard after Line 6. And the main competitor for the Supernatural, in fact, was the Big Sky. The Big Sky did basically all of what the Supernatural could do, but it was far more tweakable. You could really get down into the settings and really tweak the reverb for what you wanted and how you wanted it to act and how you wanted it to bounce around. Both pedals are stereo, so there wasn't much difference there, but in terms of the Strymon clearly had a far more powerful engine inside it, which the Supernatural can't match. You can't tweak it in that same way. You have 4 knobs. You know, you have your liveliness knob, which will, you know, tweak the kind of how big or how over the top the reverb gets. I think of it more as a tone knob. Then you got the decay, which obviously is the decay, the reverb. The mix deals with how much guitar versus how much reverb, and then the selector pot. So there really isn't much that you can actually tweak with these. But the one thing that the Supernatural had over the Strymon was that it wasn't $450. The the Digitech was $180 when it came out in the States and 150 quid when it came out in the UK. You know, as I say, they were brief, they had a very niche appeal, and then they were gone. A lot of people have held on to theirs, so they don't come up on the used market that often. When I bought this pedal, I had a look online to see what I could find. I could find one Supernatural on sale. I found it on Facebook pages and it was £180 and it had to be shipped from Newcastle. As of the filming of this video, there's 2 on eBay and they're both above 150 quid. So they are rare pedals. No one really sells them. No one really trades them away, which I think kind of speaks a testament to kind of what this pedal has done. In terms of opening up sounds and making sounds achievable, it kind of opens up the market for people who aren't ready to go out and buy something like a Strymon Big Sky. Maybe they're intimidated by them, which is fair enough. You know, sometimes you don't want a delay that you have to tweak 400,000 different parameters on. Sometimes you just want to go, here's my mix, here's how much top end, here's how much decay, and then leave it. That's sometimes all you need to do. So what is the impact of the Digitech Supernatural? What has it done for the market? What I think it did was it opened a gateway for players to maybe dip their toe into ambient sound without having to fork out for something like a Big Sky. You know, if you're not sure that you're going to use all of the reverbs in the known universe, you might not want to pay for them. It's kind of a sampler really for people who want to experiment in soundscaping, that kind of thing. And you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a big unit on its own. One of the things that you can do with reverbs is stack them. So if you do have something like an EHX Cathedral, which is a bit more attainable at, you know, sort of 150 quid and less on the used market, and you find one of these, you can use the Cathedral as a base with like a decent spring reverb, and then over the top of it you can add a shimmer, that kind of thing. There's options there. And in fact, being a stomp box gives you more options than maybe having that big computerized unit otherwise would. I like the fact as well that obviously because it's so small, if you have a mini board you can whack that on the end and it just basically, it covers all bases. So whilst you can get these big scapey sounds that the algorithm can cough out at a moment's notice, you can still dial it back and get a really good plate. A fantastic spring reverb. The plate in this is probably the best I've heard in any reverb pedal, and that goes for everything from your top of the line Strymons all the way down to, you know, your Behringer unit. Its legacy really stands as a genre-defining unit. The idea that people could then listen to things like My Bloody Valentine, Mogwai, other shoegaze bands, and kind of go, "What's that sound?" And they can then start playing with the sounds and actually sort of dipping into it as well. You know, sort of when I was playing it, I was kind of going through sort of dream pop kind of sounds and that kind of playing, and it's fun. It's a fun pedal. You can get lots of sound and you can sit there and with it and just have it tweaked on with a huge shimmer and just play 3 notes and get these warm pads welling up behind it, and it's something special. And again, I'm not sure I would have ever experienced that if I'd gone out and bought a Strymon, because I probably would have been put off by the fact I would have had to tweak the dwell and the spring length and etc. blah blah blah. It's a gateway into other genres that you may not have played, that you may not have even thought about, which is something special really. When a pedal sort of redefines how people approach a genre, or actually gives people an entry into into new ways of playing. That's where items like this will kind of stand the test of time. I don't see the price of these dipping on the used market. I was incredibly lucky to find it for 40 quid in a shop window. I really don't think the guy knew what he had, which obviously is great for me. I love, you know, shopping for used gear. There's always something as well. I mean, another thing I will advocate until the day I die is going out into small little shops and stuff and just seeing what's there. You will find absolute treasures if you just go and hunt them out. Sometimes people won't know what they have and you get a bargain just out of people's ignorance. Sometimes it's just something that someone's had for a little while that they're eager to get rid of, and you'll benefit from that. So always go looking, always keep your eyes open. You will find some absolute bargains out there. I've been lucky more than once, and it's just by just keeping your eyes open and looking and making sure that you kind of know what the value of something is, so that when you see it, you know it's a good deal and you can jump on it. But yeah, so the Digitech Supernatural Reverb is great if you want ambient sounds. It's great if you want a really nice portable reverb that won't take up too much board space, and it's just a really nice all-round pedal. Digitech really nailed it with this one. There's lots of pedals that they do where they absolutely hit it out of the park, and this is one of them. So that's my review of the Digitech Supernatural Reverb, a wonderful reverb pedal, a great all-round reverb if you dare to explore and take it into places unknown. Then you will have a whale of a time. If you like the video, please throw a like down below. We also have the subscribe button, so you can click on that whenever you please. I also have Instagram and Twitter as well, same handle, SurelyTheEnd. I will be posting more on there, so you'll be able to see a bit more into sort of the daily workings of the channel. When I start sort of writing and recording, what that kind of looks like. As part of some New Year's resolutions, I'm learning how to sweep pick. So maybe I'll be letting you in on how that's going. I am currently terrible, very bad. So the only way is up. So we'll see how that goes. As I say, if you like the video, you know, throw a thumbs up down below, subscribe as well, and hit the bell notification, YouTube, etc. blah, blah, blah. If you want to let me know what you think about the pedal, if you own one, if you've ever owned one, what you kind of use it for, then, you know, post it down in the comment section. And as ever, I'll endeavour to respond. But until next time, take care. Bye.